Senior observers Raylack's crystalline form trembled as the quantum processors confirmed the readings for the seventh time. The data couldn't be wrong. The bipedal species on the Class 13 Deathworld hadn't just survived their latest extinction-level event, they'd somehow turned it into a technological renaissance. Impossible, Zrelak whispered, their voice creating ripples through the observation chamber's carefully maintained atmosphere. The being reached out with one of their energy-manipulating appendages to adjust the holographic display, watching as the images of human civilization flickered before them. The latest catastrophe should have ended them, a series of massive solar flares that would have sterilized most planetary surfaces. Instead, these humans had not only predicted the event, but had somehow constructed a planetary-scale electromagnetic shield network in mere months. More baffling still, they'd used the excess energy to power a new generation of fusion reactors. High Counselor Nixus must see this immediately, Zrelak declared to their research team. The other observers, beings of various compositions ranging from crystalline to gaseous to pure energy, all shifted uncomfortably. Bringing such findings to the High Council was unprecedented, but then again, everything about these humans seemed to break established protocols. Within hours, the great chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with the most distinguished xenobiologists and survival experts from across known space. High Counselor Nixus, an ancient being of pure thought housed within a quantum crystal matrix, presided over the emergency session. Observer Zrelak, Nixus's thoughts resonated through the chamber. Your findings challenge everything we understand about planetary classification and species development. Please elaborate. Zrelak's form stabilized as they began their presentation. Esteemed Council, humans have not merely survived their death world. They've mastered it. Our original classification of Earth as Class 13 was based on its numerous hostile characteristics: extreme temperature variations, high geological instability, aggressive fauna, volatile weather patterns, and radiation exposure. The chamber erupted in murmurs as Zrelak continued. But instead of evolving natural defenses or accepting their limitations, humans engineered solutions. They built climate-controlled habitats in every hostile environment, from frozen wastelands to scorching deserts. They created machines to protect themselves, to enhance their capabilities, to reshape their environment. Many species develop technology, interrupted Council Member Felix, their plasma form pulsing with skepticism. This alone doesn't justify an emergency session. With respect, Council Member, Zrelak responded, activating a new set of holographic displays. Humans don't just develop technology. They actively seek out new challenges to overcome. Observe. The chamber fell silent as images played out. Humans deliberately climbing frozen mountains, diving into crushing ocean depths, launching themselves into space in increasingly sophisticated vehicles. Most disturbing of all were the recordings of what humans called entertainment, activities that seemed designed to court death itself. They appear to derive pleasure from facing and overcoming potentially lethal situations, explained Research Director Calix, their tentacles writhing with excitement. When faced with a problem that should be impossible to solve, they don't accept defeat. They become more determined. They have a saying: necessity is the mother of invention. For humans, the more necessary something seems, the more likely they are to achieve it. High Counselor Nixus's crystal matrix pulsed with deep thought. You believe they pose a threat. I believe they pose a revelation. Zrelak answered carefully. Their response to their latest crisis proves it. Not only did they survive the solar flares, but they've also already begun incorporating the shield technology into their space vessels. They're preparing to leave their death world, not despite its challenges, but because of them. Every obstacle they've faced has made them stronger, more innovative, more adaptable. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some members argued for immediate containment protocols. Surely a species forged in such hostile conditions could pose a grave threat to galactic stability. Others advocated for immediate diplomatic contact, seeing potential in such resilience. There's more, Zrylak added, their form dimming slightly. Our long-range sensors indicate they're on the verge of discovering faster than light travel, centuries ahead of our predicted timeline for their development. They seem to have taken our fundamental understanding of physics as a suggestion. The chamber fell silent. High Counselor Nix's crystal matrix glowed with unprecedented intensity. We face a choice, they announced. We can attempt to contain a species that thrives on overcoming limitations, or we can try to understand them. Either way, I suspect the galaxy will never be quite the same. As the council debated long into the night, Zrylak returned to their observation post, watching the blue-green world spinning peacefully below. Humans had a concept they called gravity, not just the physical force, but the metaphorical weight of significant moments. This, Zrylak realized, was one of those moments. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when an unstoppable force met an immovable bureaucracy. And somehow, Zrylak suspected, the humans would find a way to make even that work in their favor. Research Director Calix's tentacles twisted into complex geometric patterns of distress as they presented their latest findings to the Galactic Council's Special Committee on Human Studies. The holographic displays around them showed scenes that defied conventional xenobiological understanding. As you can see, Calix gestured to the shifting images. Humans don't just survive adversity. They appear to seek it out deliberately. Observe this behavior they call scientific research. The committee watched as human scientists willingly exposed themselves to dangerous conditions, conducted potentially lethal experiments, and repeatedly tested the boundaries of what their bodies and minds could endure. But surely, interrupted Senior Analyst Rex, their gaseous form condensing with confusion, they understand the concept of self-preservation. That's the paradox, Calix explained, bringing up new data streams. They demonstrate remarkable care for their safety in some situations, creating elaborate protocols and safety measures. Then, often immediately afterward, they willingly put themselves in danger for what they call discovery or advancement. The images shifted to show humans in protective suits carefully handling dangerous materials, followed by others leaping from perfectly functional aircraft for recreational skydiving. High Counselor Nix's quantum crystal matrix pulsed thoughtfully. Show them the stress response analysis. Calix projected a new set of diagrams. This is perhaps most baffling of all. When faced with what should be overwhelming stress, humans don't just endure. They often improve their performance. They have a physiological response they call adrenaline, but it goes beyond mere chemical enhancement. Their problem-solving abilities actually increase under pressure. Impossible, muttered Council Member Felix. That word, observers Zrylak noted from their corner of the chamber, has lost considerable meaning since we began studying humans. The displays showed humans responding to various crisis situations, engineers developing solutions in minutes that should have taken months, athletes performing beyond their physical limits in emergencies, ordinary civilians demonstrating extraordinary capabilities when others were in danger. They call it rising to the occasion, Calix continued. But what's truly remarkable is how they deliberately engineer such situations. Look at their training programs. The committee observed human military exercises, emergency response drills, and something particularly puzzling called escape rooms, where humans voluntarily lock themselves in chambers full of puzzles for entertainment. They create artificial crises to prepare for real ones, Calix explained. They intentionally put themselves under pressure to improve their performance. It's as if they're attempting to evolve in real time through sheer force of will. High Counselor Nix's form brightened with interest, and their response to failure. Perhaps most incomprehensible of all, Calix replied, bringing up new data. They have institutionalized failure as a learning tool. They call it trial and error, but it goes beyond simple experimentation. They celebrate failed attempts almost as much as successes, maintaining archives of failed experiments and unsuccessful approaches specifically to learn from them. The chamber filled with murmurs as they watched humans repeatedly attempt impossible tasks. failing dozens, hundreds, even thousands of times, yet persistently continuing. They have a saying. Zrelak added, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." But the energy expenditure, Council member Felix protested, is immense, Calix agreed. By any rational calculation, many of their attempts at progress should have been abandoned as inefficient. Instead, they created support systems to enable even more attempts. They call it research funding and venture capital, essentially institutionalizing and financing failure as a path to success. The displays showed humans celebrating failed rocket launches, crashed test vehicles, and collapsed structures, not as disasters, but as steps toward eventual success. There's more, Calix continued, their tentacles forming patterns of both excitement and concern. They appear to be passing these traits to their offspring intentionally. They create challenges for their young, encourage them to take calculated risks, and teach them to view failure as temporary. The committee watched as human children learned to walk, repeatedly falling but persistently rising, encouraged by their caregivers. They saw young humans attempting increasingly difficult tasks, failing, learning, and trying again, not just tolerating but embracing the process. In essence, Calix concluded, they're not just adapting to their death world, they're creating new challenges faster than their environment can generate them naturally. They appear to be locked in an endless cycle of self-imposed evolution. High Counselor Nix's crystal matrix pulsed with deep thought. So we face not just a species that has survived impossible conditions, but one that actively seeks to make the impossible possible. Precisely, Calix confirmed. And there's one more thing. Their tentacles twisted anxiously. We've detected signs that they're beginning to look outward. They're not just preparing to leave their death world. They're actively searching for new challenges beyond it. The chamber fell into uneasy silence as the implications became clear. A species that treated obstacles as opportunities, that grew stronger from adversity, that actively sought out new challenges. What would they do when they discovered the wider galaxy? As if in answer to their unspoken question, the long-range sensors began detecting new energy signatures from Earth. The humans had just successfully tested their first prototype of faster-than-light travel, using principles that the Galactic Council's scientists had deemed theoretically impossible. Observers' relaxed crystalline form flickered with what might have been amusement. Perhaps, they suggested, we should prepare for some impossible possibilities. The galaxy, it seemed, was about to learn some very human lessons about the nature of impossibility itself. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never witnessed such chaos. Representatives from over 3,000 civilizations argued in a cacophony of translated voices, energy signatures, and quantum vibrations. The cause of their distress. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel 3 days ago, and now the Council had to decide how to respond. Order. High Counselor Nix's resonance cut through the din. Their crystal matrix pulsed with authority, bringing the chamber to silence. We must address this situation with clarity. First, Contact Coordinator Gyra, present your assessment. Gyra, a being of pure light contained within an ancient mechanical frame, stepped forward. The humans have already detected our observation posts near their solar system. Rather than react with fear or hostility, they've been broadcasting greeting messages in every conceivable format. They're inviting contact. Inviting. Council member Felix's plasma form swirled with concern, or luring. Neither. Observer Zrelak interjected. They're curious. Look at their messages. The holographic displays activated, showing thousands of human transmissions, scientific data, mathematical sequences, cultural information, music, art, and something they called memes, all freely shared, all inviting response. They're treating this like one of their challenges. Research Director Calix observed, their tentacles forming patterns of realization. They've encountered something new and unknown, and their response is to learn everything they can about it. But that's not the most concerning part, Gyra continued. Show them the latest data. New images appeared, human ships testing their FTL drives, each test pushing further, faster, testing different theories and approaches. They discovered the principles of faster-than-light travel barely a week ago, and they were already innovating on the concept. They're improving the technology at an unprecedented rate, Gyra explained. At this pace, they'll achieve stable interstellar travel capabilities within months, not the centuries it took other species. Then we must act now, declared Council Member Felix. We can either attempt to contain them. Impossible. Zrylak interrupted. They've already detected our quantum barrier attempts. They didn't try to break through. They started studying how to replicate the technology. The chamber erupted again until High Counselor Nixis restored order. We have a third option, they announced. Integration Initiative Protocol. A shocked silence fell. The Integration Initiative had only been used twice in galactic history, both times with species far more predictable than humans. With respect, High Counselor, Gyra's mechanical frame hummed with concern. The protocols require sending representatives to live among the species being integrated, given humans' Deathworld origins. I volunteer, Calyx announced suddenly, their tentacles forming decisive geometric patterns. My research suggests that despite their seemingly chaotic nature, humans have developed complex systems for accommodating different needs and abilities. They call it accessibility. I too will go, Zrylak added. They've already proven adept at developing protective technologies. We can work with them to create suitable environments for various species. The next few hours saw an unprecedented number of volunteers from across the Council. The humans' reputation for turning obstacles into opportunities had apparently sparked curiosity throughout the galaxy. 1 month later, the first official contact team arrived in Earth orbit. They'd expected lengthy diplomatic negotiations. Instead, they found humans had already begun constructing adaptable habitats designed to accommodate various alien physiologies, based purely on the different types of signals they detected from Council observation posts. Welcome. The human greeting came from Dr. Reese Harrison, Earth's hastily appointed Senological Relations Coordinator. We've prepared environment-specific landing facilities for each member of your delegation. We had to make some educated guesses about your requirements, so please let us know if any adjustments are needed. The alien delegation stared in amazement at the sophisticated environmental chambers, each precisely calibrated for different atmospheric needs, gravity requirements, and chemical compositions. How? Gyra's mechanical frame vibrated with confusion. How did you prepare all this so quickly? Dr. Harrison grinned. Oh, we've been preparing for alien contact for centuries. In our fiction, our sciences, our engineering projects. We figured it was better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. Besides, they added with what the aliens would learn was characteristic human understatement. It was an interesting challenge. As the delegation began their descent to Earth, Calyx transmitted a private message to High Counselor Nixis. I believe we may have miscalculated. We're not here to integrate them into galactic society. They're already preparing to reshape galactic society to integrate everyone. Watching from orbit, Zrylak observed the humans excitedly preparing to welcome beings they'd only theorized about until now. Their crystalline form flickered with what might have been laughter. The galaxy had worried about containing humanity, never considering that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to overcome barriers, but their insatiable drive to help others do the same. The integration initiative had begun, but not in any way the Council had anticipated. The galaxy was about to learn that human ingenuity wasn't just about surviving their death world. It was about making the impossible possible for everyone they met. 6 months into the integration initiative, the Galactic Council's observation center on Earth had become something entirely unexpected. A learning institution where aliens and humans taught each other. The humans called it the Convergence Academy. First Contact Coordinator Gyra found themselves teaching a class on quantum communications to a group of eager human students, their mechanical frame interfacing with the specially designed holographic systems that made their light-based communication visible to human eyes. But why limit the quantum entanglement to binary states? Asked Professor Adebayo, a human quantum physicist. If we combined it with our recent work on multi-state quantum superposition. Gyrist frame hummed with excitement as they grasped the implications. This was the 100th time a human had taken an established galactic technology and suggested an improvement that should have been impossible. Meanwhile, in the Adaptive Environments Lab, Research Director Calix watched in amazement as human engineers demonstrated their latest innovation, a universal environmental suit that could automatically adjust to support any known form of sentient life. We based it on the thermal regulation systems we developed for deep-sea exploration, explained Dr. Jin Park, the project lead. Then we added quantum field generators based on your barrier technology, and some nanotech environmental processors we developed after studying Counselor Velix's plasma containment field. Calix's tentacles formed patterns of astonishment. You developed this in 6 months. Well, we had some help, Dr. Park smiled, gesturing to the diverse team of alien scientists working alongside the humans. Turns out when you combine different perspectives, impossible gets a lot more flexible. In orbit, aboard the new Joint Species Space Station, Horizon, observer Drelak was documenting another unexpected development. Humans weren't just learning from alien technologies, they were helping other species overcome their own limitations. The principle is simple. Lieutenant Rania Santos explained to a group of crystalline beings. You've been afraid of structural damage during high-speed space travel, but what if we turned that crystal lattice flexibility into an advantage? We can use the same principles we developed for earthquake-resistant buildings. The results were transformative. Species that had been limited by their natural forms were discovering new possibilities through human-inspired innovations. The humans, in turn, were learning to expand their problem-solving approaches by understanding alien perspectives. But perhaps the most significant changes were happening in the realm of cultural exchange. The Galactic Council had expected humans to be overwhelmed by exposure to thousands of alien cultures. Instead, humans were treating each new cultural interaction as an opportunity for growth. It's fascinating, High Counselor Nixis observed during their first visit to Earth. They don't just adapt to new ideas. They actively seek them out, integrate them, and create something entirely new. The evidence was everywhere. Human cities were being redesigned to accommodate beings of all forms. Earth's entertainment industry was producing stories that incorporated alien perspectives. Human children were learning games from across the galaxy, while alien young were discovering the joy of human concepts like playing pretend. Even the challenges were becoming opportunities. When a group of gaseous beings experienced difficulty maintaining cohesion in Earth's atmosphere, human engineers worked with them to develop a new type of containment field that actually enhanced their natural abilities. When some crystalline beings found Earth's seismic activity disturbing, humans helped them develop resonance chambers that turned the vibrations into energy they could use. I think we misunderstood something fundamental about humans, Calix noted during a council update session. We thought their greatest strength was their ability to overcome adversity. But it's more than that. They genuinely enjoy the process of solving problems, especially when it helps others. The implications were spreading throughout galactic society. Species that had remained isolated due to environmental incompatibilities were beginning to interact using human-inspired solutions. Trade routes were being redesigned with new technologies that made them accessible to all forms of life. The galaxy was becoming more interconnected than ever before. But it wasn't until the Rigel crisis that the full impact of human influence became clear. When a nearby star began showing signs of imminent supernova, threatening several inhabited systems, the Galactic Council expected to implement their standard evacuation protocols. Instead, they watched in amazement as a joint human-alien team proposed and executed an ambitious plan to stabilize the star using a combination of technologies no one had ever thought to combine before. What should have been an extinction-level event became a testament to the power of collaborative problem-solving. Perhaps Zrelak mused, watching Earth from their orbital observation post. We were asking the wrong question all along. We wanted to know how humans had survived their death world. We should have asked why they never saw it as a death world in the first place. The answer was becoming clear. To humans, there was no such thing as an insurmountable obstacle, only problems that hadn't been solved yet. And now, they were teaching the galaxy to see things the same way. 1 year after first contact, the Galactic Council convened an extraordinary session to address what many were calling the human revolution. The massive chamber, now modified to accommodate representatives of all species simultaneously thanks to human-inspired environmental technologies, hummed with anticipation. High Counselor Nix's crystal matrix glowed as they addressed the assembly. We gather today to discuss the proposed reclassification of planetary categories and species development indexes. The events of the past year have made it clear that our previous understanding was incomplete. The holographic displays activated, showing Earth, still technically classified as a Class 13 death world, but now hosting the most diverse collection of species in known space. The impossible had become routine. Beings of plasma danced through quantum corridors alongside crystalline entities, while gaseous species floated through specially designed interaction chambers, all collaborating with humans in what they called research and development. Our traditional classification system, Research Director Calix explained, their tentacles forming patterns of scholarly precision, was based on the assumption that species would either adapt to their environments or fail. Humans have demonstrated a third option, adapting the environment while simultaneously adapting themselves, and then helping others do the same. The displays shifted to show the latest statistics. Interspecies trade had increased by 300%. Scientific breakthroughs were occurring at unprecedented rates. Even the concept of uninhabitable zones was being challenged as humans helped develop technologies that made previously hostile environments accessible to various life forms. But the most significant change, First Contact Coordinator Jara added, their mechanical frame humming with excitement, has been philosophical. The human concept of challenges as opportunities has begun to influence galactic culture in unexpected ways. The evidence was undeniable. Species that had remained isolated for millennia were now reaching out to others. Ancient rivalries were being set aside in favor of collaborative problem-solving. The galaxy was transforming from a collection of separate civilizations into an interconnected network of diverse but united species. We propose, Observer Zrelak announced, a complete revision of our classification systems. Instead of categorizing worlds and species by their limitations, we should measure them by their potential for growth and adaptation. The chamber erupted in discussion, but not in the fearful way it had a year ago. The conversations were excited, forward-looking, filled with possibilities rather than concerns. As the debate continued, Dr. Reese Harrison, now serving as Earth's first representative to the Galactic Council, stood to address the assembly. A year ago, you were worried about containing humanity. Now, we're all breaking out of old containers together. Maybe that's the real lesson here. There are no death worlds, only worlds we haven't learned to live on yet. No impossible challenges, only solutions we haven't discovered yet. High Counselor Nix's form pulsed with what had become recognized as amusement. And to think, we once considered your species' survival an anomaly. Oh, we're definitely an anomaly. Harrison grinned. But maybe the galaxy needed an anomaly. After all, normal is just what you're used to, and getting used to new things is kind of our specialty. The council chamber, once a place of rigid protocol, filled with laughter. A human expression of joy that many species had adopted. Even Council Member Velix, once the strongest voice for containing humanity, had learned to modulate their plasma form to produce the sound. As the session concluded, a new classification system was adopted. Planets would no longer be rated by their hostility, but by their unique characteristics and potential for development. Species would be evaluated not by their limitations, but by their capacity for growth and adaptation. Earth, fittingly, became the first planet to be classified under the new system. Category H. For hope. Not because it was perfect or safe or easy, but because it had produced a species that saw challenges as opportunities and had taught the galaxy to do the same. From their observation post, now transformed into a bustling interspecies research center, Zrelak watched ships of all designs arriving and departing Earth. Each vessel carried beings who had once thought themselves limited by their nature, now embarking on adventures they would have considered impossible just a year ago. Perhaps, they mused, their crystalline form reflecting the light of Earth's sun, we should have known from the start. Any species that names their planetary exploration vehicles after dreams and aspirations, Voyager, Pioneer, Discovery, was never going to accept limitations. The galaxy had worried about surviving humanity. Instead, humanity had taught the galaxy how to truly live, and this, everyone agreed, was just the beginning. After all, as humans like to say, the only real death world is one where you stop trying to make things better. And thanks to humanity's influence, the galaxy was more alive with possibility than ever before. The END